when we get through this, we will have the freest country that ever existed in the history of the world. Because by people waking up and recognizing what's happening, we're in a situation where people are going to start to recognize all the other forms of tyranny and oppression that we've been lied to about, that we've been conditioned to believe little by little by little, and we will continue to attack and remove these systems of oppression that keep our capitalist free country in a place where it's not really free. There's no reason for you and I and everybody listening to have to work until the month of August until we start taking home our own money. There is no reason for these politicians that are in Washington, D.C. to come into office worth zero and leave worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There is no reason for our tax dollars to be sent overseas when we have the infrastructure that we have, and we have the homeless that we have, and we have the societal plight that we have. We have to serve American interests first. And by people becoming aware of what's actually going on, we're creating a scenario where people are going to recognize all the other things that are wrong after we win this major battle that's happening right now. What is up, guys? It's Andy Frisella, and this is the show for the realists. Say goodbye to the lies, the fakeness, and delusions of modern society, and welcome to motherfucking reality. Guys, today we have Andy and DJ Cruise the motherfucking internet. That's what we're going to do. That's what CTI stands for. It stands for Cruise the Internet. That's where we put topics on the screen, the topics of the day. We talk about what's going on. We speculate on what we think is true and what we think is not true. And then we talk about how we, the people, need to solve these problems going on in the world. I'm going to get right into it, man. We're going to get right into the show. We have a very special guest here on the show today who's been on the show before, Mr. Curtis Bowers. What's happening, brother?
Not too much. Thanks so much for having me back.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah. What brings you to town? You guys are touring, huh?
Touring again, speaking at some different events and things, yeah.
How's that going?
It's going well. Really great turnouts and so many new people kind of awakening to all this. Something's going on, man. You know,
yeah.
So they're wanting answers, and so it's been great being able to communicate with them.
That is interesting. People do seem to be waking up to. I was going to ask you that. Like, do you feel like people are starting to realize what is actually going on?
I think it's been so dramatic for several years now, 4 or 5 years of just thing after thing coming up, that it's just shaken people to awaken from their sleep. And yes, I'm shocked. I go back to the same places I've spoken before. And when I ask them to raise their hand if they've seen my movies or anything, 3 people out of 400 people have even seen them. So they're just newly awakened people going, something's going on, man. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, this tells you what's going on. And it's been going on for a long time, but a lot of people didn't notice it until it just was in our face like it is now.
Now, for those of you guys who haven't seen Curtis on the show before, he's been on, and he produced and developed 2 films that are based around the communist subversion and the communist revolution that is happening worldwide and here in America. And the films are called Agenda and Agenda 2. And I believe they can be found on Amazon, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if you guys want, you guys should watch these films. They are super, super, super impactful, and really break down a good job of what we're seeing happen in society. So when you meet these people, these bigger crowds, one thing I notice because I have a lot of clips from the show, you know, go out on the internet, and you know, when I talk about communism, a lot of people are, they will say things like, you don't even know what communism is. You know, this is so ridiculous. You're so far off base. Like, open a history book.
You're the fascist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, could we talk a little bit about that, about why people have such a hard time recognizing, in your opinion, what's going on?
Yes, that's a key thing. What happened is in 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, and then in December of 91, the Soviet Union dissolved, the whole world said communism's dead, it's done, it's over, we won. And so it's the most clever strategic scheme that's ever been done. They literally were able to convince the world they no longer exist, so they had free reins to do whatever they want, and they knew anyone that said, I think these people are communists or Marxists, would be laughed at by society, because they'd say, what are you talking about? The Berlin Wall came down, that thing's over. A lot of people don't realize in 1984, 5 years before the wall came down, a KGB agent that had defected to America, Anatoly Golitsyn. He had written a book called New Lies for Old, and he said in the book, 5 years before the wall came down, I wouldn't be surprised if they take down that wall because they're trying to convince you communism is no longer around. And he said this, and then when it happened, we're all, oh man, this is awesome. But he said, no, they're going to do this because they want you to believe it's over so they can keep marching through the institutions and breaking down the structure, especially in America, so they can have conquest of the world. And it's what's happened. And so, yeah, so they were so effective that most people, even on our side, that are conservative minded, that love this country, thought, communism, what are you talking about, man? That's over with. Mm-hmm. Even though today there's still almost 2 billion people living under communist rule in the world. Mm-hmm. And they're slaughtering their people. They're abusing anyone that stands against them. In China, all the different religious groups, the Christians, the Falun Gong, the Uyghur Muslims, they're in concentration camps. Their body parts are being sold to the highest bidder, and they're harvesting their organs. This is going on right now today all over China, and yet we buy all our products from them. We prop them up. All the funds they're getting from all of our products and all of our is going to build their military. And it's just something that, again, I think some people are ready to hear that now. Mm-hmm. They weren't 5 years ago. What are you talking about? But they're more and more, ever since I made the first movie in 2010, when I kind of laid this out and I showed the 100-year agenda of this isn't new. It's just they've been so successful, we're seeing the fruit of their work. We're seeing, hey, well, why are they teaching this junk in the schools? And why is this going on? And why is our own State Department totally anti-American in everything they do? What's happening? And so that's what people have awakened to see. But that's the main reason why is because most people don't understand to set up that communist society when you're trying to take over a free enterprise capitalist system that is so productive. You have to first transition the size of government to be big enough to become socialist before you can actually be communist. Mm-hmm. So Lenin himself said, the founder of the Soviet Union said, socialism is the road to communism. We have to first go there. Why? Because in a free enterprise capitalist system like we have today, you own the business. Mm-hmm. You have the wealth. You have the employees. You have all the means of production. And they know it's hard to come against those people. They have a lot of power. But if we can keep growing big government to slowly regulate more and drive up the cost of things, where we slowly start and getting big business, to be monopolies where it's hard for anybody to compete. And we do this slowly as the government gets those reins of power. Then once you're kind of a socialist system, it's much easier to step into communism because then the government's already got the healthcare system. It's already got the check that everyone's dependent on. It's already got access. And so slowly then it becomes totalitarian quickly. And if you study the 20th century and look at all the countries that the communists took over, that's how they did it. Mm-hmm. They didn't just march in with the troops most of the time. They stirred up the young college students and things to push for socialism, and they complained about whoever the leader of the country was. He's not perfect. We need to get rid of him. And then they would put up their puppet, like the perfect example is Cuba with Castro. They put him up. No, he's for the people. And the people vote into power someone that has different plans, but they don't let you know that until they've already got about 6 months into power. You've got all the levers of control. Now the firing squads come out, and that's exactly what happened in Cuba. In every single country they took over. And so right now, that's what's happening in America. They're just getting more and more control through the environmental movement and different things where the government's in charge of energy. It's in charge of healthcare. It's trying to get a digital currency, a digital IDs, where there's just more and more controls it has. So then you have a podcast that doesn't go along to get along with the narrative. They just go, you just lost your bank account. Mm-hmm. Good luck. And we saw in Canada a couple of years ago at the trucker convoy. So it's the model. There's several countries that are further down the road than us, and we need to wake up and realize, no, that's where they're taking us to. Those are testing grounds. Okay, how are we going to do this when we close the bank accounts? How much backlash is there? How much, they're studying these things carefully because they absolutely have the goal that Lenin set back in the 1920s. He said, we will have world communism. And these people are so committed. I've read their books and things. I'm shocked. Just totally satanically committed to this cause of world communism. And that's what we're seeing the fruit of, and all these things that don't make sense. Mm-hmm. It's these Marxists that have embedded themselves in these institutions and then are pushing everything anti-American, things that will take America down.
Yeah. So this is, to tie this together, if we zoom out on this, you said it doesn't make sense to people, but it does if you zoom out.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
When you look at what happened during COVID, where they put all these small businesses out of business, okay, and they transferred all the wealth to the wealthiest people. When you look at what they've done in terms of inflating the currency, since 2020, the dollar has lost 25% of its buying power in the United States, okay? And then you look at what's happening with the housing market, where we have these big, huge funds that are buying up residential houses to create an artificial scarcity
bubble,
around the inventory, which is driving the price up and making homes unaffordable. All right. And then when we see on top of that, and we see this in Canada and the US, where they're making farming supplies so expensive that farmers can't operate their farms. And if they can't operate their farms, they can't pay their notes or their taxes. And if they can't pay their taxes, the government reconfiscates their property. So if we look at all of those things together, that's the people are like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because the next step of what communism is that they confiscate personal property. And people have a hard time connecting all those dots. But if you zoom out, and you watch over the last 5 or 6 years, and then you zoom out even further and you watch over the last 15, 20 years, it becomes very apparent what they're trying to do. When you look at the removal of competition amongst young men, especially, okay, participation trophies. When you look at cancel culture, this culture that they've instilled that if you don't toe the line, we're going to fire you from your job. When you look at political correctness, we can no longer speak facts because it offends people. All right. When we look at silent majority, we can't speak up because, we're the silent majority. All of these things fit together to create a situation where you have to toe the line, and we remove personal property from the equation, forcing tens of millions of middle-class Americans into poverty who are now dependent on universal basic income type programs, which makes them a slave to the government. And it's very clear to me when you look at it zoomed out, but people really do have a hard time connecting the dots.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing too. It's like, the saying is, the greatest trick that the devil ever played, was convincing people it didn't exist.
Bro, and also
that's how they move.
DJ, they've been, our fucking kids can't even pass math tests. They're like one of the lowest education systems in the world. People are like, oh, it's this woke shit. Yeah, it is, but that's intentional because they do not want people to come out and be able to provide for themselves, because it creates more people for dependency on their programs, which allows them, like you said, for the government to get so big that they can create a socialistic state.
That's right. No, that's what it is. And so they're all purposeful. But yeah, if you're looking at them individually, it's like, why are the schools such a failure? I always tell them it's not a failure. It's accomplishing exactly what it was designed to do.
That's exactly right.
That's the thing people need. Once you see that, though, then it really helps you engage in this battle. Rise. No, these are enemies of our country that are purposely working. And these strategies were all drawn out in dark-filled rooms in the 30s and 40s in America. If you read from the Frankfurt School, the founders of that, they were geniuses of strategy in an evil way. How are we going to take this thing down in the country? And they talked about, okay, we're going to do this with the educational system and dumb the kids down. We're going to work toward getting rid of the one-room schoolhouse. So we want to age segregate, peer group everything. A lot of people don't know this. Karl Marx came up with this idea. If you age segregate peer group, where your whole life you're just with your age group, it makes you uncomfortable with anyone that's older or younger. And so it separates you out, but where you're all by yourself and you're hanging around people that are simply as dumb as you are. Because if you're 12 and all your friends are 12, when you ask them something, they're going to go, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we also see this with the end of desegregation. Okay. Like when I was in school, they had desegregation programs where the inner city kids would come out and they would blend the school together so that you all learned each other's culture and you learned how to get along. And they took, right after I graduated high school, they took that away. At least here in Missouri, they stopped it.
That was well, and that's the thing. It's like, and then you look at what happens when they try to bring it back with things like, you know, school choice. It immediately gets removed day one. Biden's
well, now we have a generation of young people that believe they're fighting some sort of civil rights movement because their whole life they've been kept away from the black community, and they don't realize that the older generation has already we've fought these battles, right?
Exactly.
Like we're cool. Like
that's right.
Yeah,
I think too, the more important, I mean, a very simple question you could ask yourself, you know, for anybody that, you know, is not able to zoom out and look at it from a macro level is like, okay, well, like, let's say the whole point of all of this stuff, everything we just mentioned was not communism. Let's say that was not the thing behind it, right? But if it was, would anything be done differently? All the steps that they've made, would anything be done differently?
Yeah.
Would you do anything differently?
No, you wouldn't at all. But what I have loved studying is when you go back, you see they did write this stuff out, which is shocking even to me, where you can find the list and the communist goals and you go, wait a minute. In 1958, goal 17 was use the schools as transmission belts for socialism and soften the curriculum. So you go, oh, 70 years ago, they're talking about we got to soften this curriculum, dumb them down, and then start teaching socialist ideas where they sound good. Like that's fair, that's just. Who's not for that? We want socialism. But so as you see that's what's kind of like, wow, it was so purposeful. You mentioned, Andy, political correctness. That's from the Frankfurt School in 1930s America, and they called it back then cultural Marxism. It's where you hamstring the culture from speaking and saying things that are true because you make them off limits and you change the definition of words, so it's hard to communicate with people. Or you're saying one thing and then it sounds racist to someone else. You're like, no, I'm not a racist. What are you talking about? But they changed the definitions. They teach the kids that, you know, justice is bad, but social justice is good. And so it just confuses everybody where it's hard to communicate and it's hard to pull the kids out of this dream world they've been raised in to let them see the lies.
It makes them ineffective adults.
Yes.
It's a super handicap.
That's right.
You know, it's sad too, man, because when someone's, you know, we can argue all day long about what's fair, what's not fair, this, that, the other. But at the end of the day, the reality is the reality. And if you handicap someone with the mentality that everything should be fair and everything's never been fair for thousands of years. It's never worked. It's never been fair. So you think that you're going to pout your whole life and it's going to become fair because you want it to be fair? It's not fucking fair, man. And you got to work hard. And sometimes, depending on where you come from in life, you got to work a little harder. And that's just the reality.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And America has proven, though, as immigrants
that
have come to this country, it works. Even these people that don't speak the language, they come here from, you know, Vietnam or whatever, escaping communism. And in 10 years, they're wealthy, successful people. And they didn't even know the language. And they didn't have $1 in their pocket when they came. But they said, I'm going to work hard. And so that's what I love about America. And that's why I hate when the liberals and the left preaches the lies. You can't make it. It's unjust. It's unfair to the people, the young people in our country. You need a government handout. When they don't need anything. They need to get to work. They need to have character.
They need to build skill sets.
Exactly. Right. And be diligent. And it's still the land of opportunity, but they're trying to dismantle that as quickly as possible because they hate that.
Yeah.
That's why we're in the race war thing. That's why they had to do that. Marxism usually was based on class. And he would always pit the poor people against the rich people. But in America, they learned back in the 40s and 50s, they go, wait a minute. In America, it's so easy to change classes. It's so easy to, you may be born poor, but then you start a business and now you're wealthy. We're losing our people. So we got to go with something you cannot change. And that's when in the 60s, they really started going after the black community and saying, okay, we need to make them disgruntled and discontent and try to stir up this tension here because those are going to be our foot soldiers if we can get them to be involved in what we're doing. And so that's what they've done in America. That's why we see so much of this when we'd really battled through the racism that was there. And really, by the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up, no one even thought about that kind of stuff at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody
zero.
was cool. Yeah.
And we admired the black community. They're great in athletics. They're great at music. They're great at everything.
Yeah.
We admired them. We didn't like, oh, a black person. We loved the black people.
And that was easy to do because the United States is one of the only multicultural countries like that. You know, most countries, quite honestly, because people don't travel, they don't understand that most countries are way more racist than the United States. Most countries do not like people from the outside coming in, and they're very vocal about it.
No,
if you go to Europe and you talk to people in Belgium or you talk to people in Italy or you talk to people anywhere, they're like, dude, fuck them. They don't belong here. This is our fucking country. And they're very open about saying that. Yeah. And so because we have a melting pot of cultures, that was obviously a soft spot for them to attack, right? Because we're one of the only countries that has that.
Yeah. And America is the only country in the world, when you move there and become a citizen, you become an American.
Yeah.
You can go move to France and you're not a French man. Or you move to Canada, you're not a Canadian.
Yeah.
They would say, no, you're not a Canadian. You might live in Canada, but you're not a Canadian.
And you know what's interesting too, dude? I'm thinking about right now when you're saying this about the propagation of fairness in the school system is that if we take into account human nature and people's want and desire to find excuses for why they haven't made it, a lot of these gripes and complaints about racism and, class warfare, they are made by people who are unwilling to try. They are made by people to justify their position in life. Mm-hmm. And so human nature lends itself to that sort of cultural weapon.
Yes. And then the school system is preparing them to fail.
Right.
Because it's not giving them a good education. It's teaching them to whine and complain and be an activist for the climate or for this or for that. And so it's setting up the parameters where they know they won't be successful because they don't have character. They don't have the ability to be successful because the school system hasn't prepared them for life like it should. In a healthy school system where it's rigorous reading, writing, arithmetic, and you're being challenged and you're being motivated, they took all that out purposefully because then they know these people, and then really threw in the immorality. That's back in the 30s. The Frankfurt School talked about that extensively.
That's the Weimar Republic.
Yeah,
in Germany.
Yeah, you get the citizenry really immoral, and everything starts collapsing. The family structure, everything, and so there's no stability there. And everyone's thinking about themselves. And so, but the school system, why are they teaching all that garbage to our kids? It's a purposeful agenda to make them people that are simply not capable of providing for themselves.
You know what's interesting when you talk about the 1930s Germany is that when you talk about that and people, and you say, okay, they were doing this, they were doing mother-daughter prostitution, child prostitution, the first transsexual operations, total moral decay at the deepest level, right? When you talk about that, and then you talk about 1930s Germany, people associate that with Nazi behavior. That wasn't the Nazis that did that, bro. That was the communists that did that. And people don't understand that. Communists did all that crazy shit, and that's why Stalin and Hitler were at war. So people don't know their history, and they don't really understand that you had a fight between the Nazis and the communists going on in Germany.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why then John Dewey, who loved the communists, he, the founder of our government schools, he brought the Frankfurt School, which were all communists, but they were in Germany. Once Hitler was getting power there, he brought them all over to America and put them down at all of our top universities. Yeah. Bring them here, and their stated purpose, as it says in the movie, but it's shocking when you hear it if you're not aware of this. Willie Munzenberg said, "We're going to make the West so corrupt it stinks."
Yeah.
That's a quote from one of the founders.
Dude, have you been to San Francisco?
It stinks.
Yeah, no, it collapses on itself eventually, and that was the point. All the people that have been set on world government, set on totalitarian control knew 100 years ago, if we ever want to achieve this, America's got to go. We have to dismantle this city on a hill that is making the whole world want to be like America instead of want to just waller, around in socialism.
Yeah, I think we are the last stop too.
Oh yeah,
I mean, because most other countries, like you said, a lot of other countries are much more further along that path than we are. I think we're like the last, you know, we're the big boss fight at the end of the video game, you know.
Why do you think that is?
In what ways? What do you mean?
Well, it's because we got guns, man.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, more than other things. I mean, that's a big reason to help stop some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in real life. If you look at our founding, the Christian foundations, whether people are Christians or not, you should be grateful for Christianity. It gave people the moral framework to be faithful in families, to raise the next generation, to see life is much more than about yourself. It's about the next generation and the next generation, to think selflessly for the future, like the Pilgrims when they first came. Half of them died within 4 months of landing here. You think, what a failure. They said, no. If you read their diaries, which I have, they said, if our grandchildren live free and are able to follow God like we want them to, we're willing to sacrifice our lives. I mean, they were just thinking about the future. They were not thinking about today. And so, but that framework, and then the guns, of course, because our founders knew you got to have a way to protect these rights or they're meaningless. Those two things have preserved us so much longer than you would think we would have lasted with the attack that's been going on for 100 years.
Yeah. It's wild, man. It's wild. Want to do some cruising?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Guys, remember, if you want to see any of these pictures, articles, links, videos, go to andyfrisella.com. You guys can find them linked there. Before we get to our headlines, man, it's a sad day.
Oh, yeah. Is it?
Yeah. OJ died yesterday, technically. Did you see this? OJ Simpson died?
No, I hadn't. I've been on the road traveling.
Yeah, OJ Simpson dead at 76 after cancer battle.
Mm.
Yeah. It just sucks. He was innocent, man, you know.
Was he? There's no way.
But that told me just to say that to piss you off.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, O.J. Simpson dead, man. O.J. Simpson, who became one of the most infamous figures in the U.S. during his murder trial in the 90s, has died after a cancer battle. The former NFL star died Wednesday in Las Vegas. His family confirmed he was 76. They put out a statement on Twitter, quote, "On April 10th, our father, Orenthal James Simpson, succumbed to his battle with cancer. He was surrounded by his children and grandchildren during this time of transition. His family asks that you please respect their wishes for privacy and grace," the brief statement added. He did it. No, he did it.
I'm curious what people think. You guys should let us know in the comment section.
If he did it or not.
Yeah, did OJ do it?
Okay, well, if you don't think he did it, let's watch this clip.
Just did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope. Did not do it.
After we finished filming, OJ said to me that he had a surprise for me, and I genuinely was surprised. I think it was his idea of a joke, and this is it.
Holy shit.
He did. Yeah, you see this?
This is real?
Bro, that's absolutely real. You never seen that?
No.
No, that's real.
Bro.
That was a fucking, like a CNN interview or something.
Dude, I'm going to tell you this, though. He's having a bad day right now. He's like, shit, man, it's a lot hotter down here than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Woo!
Yeah, he's like, hey, you guys send me a window unit for my room down here.
Ain't no AC down there, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Now, anybody that was alive back then and watched that unfold, of course he's guilty. You don't run when you're not guilty. You don't do everything he did. It was crystal clear.
Yeah.
You think they'll do the procession like his famous,
Bro, wait.
Recreate
the hearse should be a Bronco, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Make the hearse like a white Bronco. Man, we're going to be down there with them making fun of some dude that just died.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, we're going to hell, man.
Yeah, we are. We'll see you, OJ. See you soon. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, R.I.P. OJ.
I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, I mean, he looked good.
It doesn't even look like him, though.
No.
Nah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, guys, just let us know down in the comments what you guys think. Did he do it? Let us know.
Curtis, what do you think? You think he did it?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Oh, man. Guys, let's keep moving. We got headline number one. Let's dive into these. Headline number one. This is an interesting one. Headline number one reads, Whoopi Goldberg, Republicans want to bring slavery back. Yeah. It's always something, you know, and I think I got some context here because I think it's important to kind of piece these things together. So let's dive through this, through headline number one. Whoopi Goldberg told her co-host Wednesday on ABC's The View that some Republicans would like to bring slavery back during the panel discussion of the Arizona Supreme Court rulings reinstating an 1864 abortion ban. Co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin said, quote, I believe a lot of elected Republicans are completely out of step with the sentiment of the country because we've seen in Kansas, a very red state, Ohio, and Kentucky, that Republicans turned out to protect access to abortions. So this is a big win for the Democrats, I believe, in the election. Here's a clip.
Take a look at the things that they're rolling back. Remember I said ages ago, you know, they, in their minds, they want to bring slavery back. They're okay with it because, you see, things change. You know, one of the good things about the Supreme Court is you can fight to make sure you make stuff better. You don't generally fight to make stuff worse. Or to roll back. And to me, if you're okay rolling that back, when things were not even a state, when we had no say,
yeah.
So how's that going to roll? How's that going to roll? What's the next thing? Because, you know, on this, with all of this comes birth control.
Right.
With all of this comes everything that you need as a woman to have had put in place to make sure that we were doing better than we were.
Yeah. So slavery and abortion, pretty much the same thing. Now it's interesting because I saw this stream.
She can't even articulate
her point. No,
she can't even articulate why she thinks abortion should be allowed.
No,
she's sitting here and she's like, because women need the rights before, and then she moves on because the answer to that question is women need those rights because they don't exercise restraint with their sexual behavior. Okay, that's the truth.
But the fact that she's stepping around the whole issue,
it's sad.
80% of Planned Parenthoods are in minority neighborhoods.
100%.
Intentional.
This is a intentional plan to eliminate the human weeds, as Margaret Sanger, the founder, would say. And she then is a sellout.
Margaret Sanger's referring to black people when she says that.
Yes, of course. But then this sellout to the black community,
there's people like
acts
that.
Like, no, we have a right to kill our own children, so we depopulate ourselves from off the earth. It's so crazy. But that's what when you have a worldview that is nothing but lies, you're just in a mess. So you just have to keep digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. But I see it. It's also offensive to me how the black people they do put up to represent the black community are always imbeciles like that.
Yeah.
They don't put up the Thomas Sowell or the Alan Keyes or these guys that are
geniuses.
They're geniuses, Ben Carsons and stuff. They put up just
they
these
shame
people.
those people.
No, they're doing that shows how racist they are. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
100%.
And they're laughing. They're mocking the black community by putting these people up as here's the best and brightest of the black community when it's the lowest level you could possibly get.
100%, man. And
bro, that's bad news, man.
What?
Slavery's coming back.
Yeah, you know, listen, I was just getting used to this, like, you know,
being free
and stuff, not as oppressed, but you know, you could take care of the papers, though, right?
Huh?
You can get my papers.
I don't think I'm allowed to comment on that.
I ain't going back, man. Hey, listen, I'm right.
Well, listen, bro, I love you, man.
I love AC.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got a pretty fat checkbook. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna let that happen. Hey, we better go vote for Biden then if slavery's coming back. I'm just saying.
That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about right there, what you just said. It's just a mindless, meaningless attack because that's all they have to offer. They can't tell you what they're for and how they're going to make the country better.
Yeah.
It's just attack opposition.
You think anybody believes this shit for real?
Well, that's the interesting thing. So, I mean, this is, at the end of the day, we got to recognize this for what it is. It's propaganda.
Yes.
Right? These
Bro,
people are being
she's
told,
a fucking traitor bitch.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't fucking stand her hair. That's not even her. Whoopi Goldberg's not even her fucking name. Her name's Karen, which is fitting.
Her name's Dumbass.
Oh, that's her middle
Dumb ass.
But there's a trend here, right? Because this was a push that just happened all at the same time. Let's connect some dots here for you. So you got Whoopi Goldberg saying that. Kamala Harris, she comes out and agrees that 2024 could genuinely be the last Democratic election. if Trump wins.
Yeah.
And she puts that out. And then you got Cory Booker. Trump has created unimaginable chaos and suffering in our country. Now, what
are these people talking about?
Well, let's do a poll. Let's see something, okay? So you got Whoopi Goldberg, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker. What do they all have in common?
They're dumb as fuck.
Outside of that,
they're black.
They're all black, right? This is a propagation.
Well, that guy's
push.
barely black.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's yeah, but
you ain't black.
It's a propagation push, right? And their goal is to try to fearmonger the black community, like they always typically do, because they know that a lot of black communities are awoken to the bullshit.
Yeah, but they ain't falling for it no more, man.
They're not falling for it,
Yeah.
and we got some proof. We go to this first headline: Black supporter to Donald Trump at Chick-fil-A stop. I don't care what the media tells you, we support you. This is an awesome video. Former President Donald Trump was greeted by enthusiastic supporters at a Chick-fil-A in Atlanta, Georgia, of all places, while on the campaign trail, and ordered 30 milkshakes and chicken for everybody. Video shows the former president speaking to workers at the location. Here's the clip.
Can I have 30 milkshakes and also some chicken? And we're going to take care of the customers. Is business good? You're making a lot of money? You're getting rich, right?
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Look at the way you hope. You like each other, right?
You know, and it's not even just that. It was mob.
Well, everybody likes Trump, man.
Yeah, let's go to Grandpa G.
Everybody's starting to like him again, like they liked him before 2016.
I think it's even more.
Yeah,
it's even more. Let's check in with Grandpa G to see what he has to say.
Donald Trump ain't gonna come there with that bullshit like Joe Biden can't hardly remember what the fuck he just said. Trump coming at your ass real. Trump gonna tell your ass straight up. This is the United States. Y'all ain't fucking with nothing over here. Y'all don't fuck with us, we won't fuck with you. If you fuck with us, I got something for your ass. Donald Trump, man. And Donald Trump gonna hit a blunt too. When Donald Trump was in office, niggas' pockets was swole. Swole. Every bitch was eating. Nah.
You know he's telling the truth, dude, because of that outfit.
Oh, bro, listen, that outfit, that
shit's fire, man. That is like primetime barbecue outfit, bro.
Well, we don't call it barbecues, Andy.
What do we call it?
Cookouts.
Cookouts. We call it barbecue.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But you ain't invited.
I know.
I don't get invited to your shit.
Because you're going to bring the raisins.
No, I'm not. I don't bring no fucking raisins, man. I might bring some chocolate-covered raisins. I like those.
Well, I like the shoes. Those are like the typical.
That's a good look, dude.
Yeah,
he
definitely didn't he didn't raise his kids.
I'm gonna give him huh? I didn't hear anything.
No, man, but people are over it, man. People are over it. The stuff, the ploys are not working, which is why they're going hard.
I think the harder they push, the more people get away from them.
100%.
You know, it's like being in a relationship where like you break up with someone and then they keep like. They like keep pushing to try and want to get back with you, and it makes you like start to repulse against them. You're like, fuck, just please don't talk to me.
Yeah.
That's what's starting to happen with these people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg. Dumbass biatch.
Guys, jumping on this conversation down in the comments.
Is Whoopi a dumbass biatch?
How do you spell biatch?
B-E-Otch. Let's hear it.
That's that American
That's the question.
Education system.
That is the question. Are you on Team Whoopi or Team Andy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Team Andy and DJ and Curtis.
Yeah, guys, jump down in the comments. Let us know what you guys thought or think. And with that being said, let's move on to cruising some comments. We got a couple of them here for you today.
Okay.
This first comment comes from at J Chetra 83. Hey, Andy, I think it's about time DJ gets another trophy. He's made you laugh pretty good at least twice since his last trophy. Stop being a hoe and give that man his reward. Much love to you both.
You wrote that shit. Look at that.
I did not write this.
Yes, you did.
I did not write this.
Yes.
This is a real comment.
That is not real.
It's real.
No.
The people have spoken. Just saying.
What do you think, But that's the judge of the trophies.
Bro, I've had some fire. Why am I having to defend myself right now?
Well, you know what it is.
What's that? I know exactly what it is.
It's systemic. It's systemic in nature.
It's systemic Bosnian.
And he's black.
I'm sorry, Curtis. I'm sorry. These guys. Man.
These guys. It's not you.
We got another comment. This comes from Justin Anderson. This is actually a suggestion. Let's see what you think about this one, Andy. I think what would be hilarious is for Andy to have a segment called Soft AF, where he wears glasses and a cardigan and speak real softly into the mic to answer some of these questions. Being super passive-aggressive and fake catering to these soft people. I don't know if he has that acting capability, but I'd enjoy it.
Motherfucker, I can do anything. I'm from Missouri, dude. We can do anything.
Throw him in that light.
Right.
Hold my beer.
I like this. Yeah, hold my beer. I like this. We might see Soft AF coming up real soon.
All right. All right. Well, there you go,
You have
Justin.
to participate too, though.
I got to do
It's
it.
got to be both of us.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get costumes.
What do I wear?
Huh?
What do I wear?
I don't know. Probably something that, like one of these, you probably got to put like purple hair on or some shit. Get
Why
some
do I have to put
pronouns.
the purple hair on? Why do I got to have pronouns? That's not part of the plan.
Well, somebody has to have them. Somebody's got to have them.
This might work. I can read the questions as that person.
As the she-sham should?
As them, yeah.
The Z-Zero?
Curtis, what's your take on all those pronouns and shit?
It's another just
Communist
fracturing
tactic.
of society.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Everyone is XX or XY in every cell in their body. And coming from a Christian point of view, they're perfect the way God made them, and they've got a plan for their life. He has a plan for their life, and so it's this hijacking.
It's insulting,
confuse, and it's to confuse children. When you tell a 4 or 5-year-old that doesn't understand how the world works, "Hey, little boy, you might be a girl." Oh, I might. I mean, they trust you.
Yeah.
And that's why to do it is so vile and so evil that you would confuse a little child's mind. They should be in prison for pushing that,
dude.
And I mean, it's
being nice.
Acceptable.
1,000%.
Yeah.
The fact that little kids are having their childhood taken from them, that they will, like, dude, we got people right now on the internet crying about the trauma they had because their parents got divorced, or they got spanked once in a while or whatever, right? Like, does anybody ever stop and think, like, what's going to happen to these children in 20 years and what they're going to be like?
My parents cut my dick
Hold
off.
on. The communists know exactly what that is. It's exactly what they did in 1930s Germany, and people do not understand that. Go read about the Weimar Republic. It's Weimar Republic, but it starts with a W. Go read it. It'll tell you this has all happened, and it's all already been done.
No.
And its final destination is collapse.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You cannot destroy the future of your country, the children, and think everything's going to be okay in the future.
No, it's intentional.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's a sure collapse when that is allowed to be taught. But I encourage parents, get your kids out of those indoctrination centers, get a private school, homeschool. Anything is better than having them subjected to that age-segregated peer grouping where it just makes them a puppet the rest of their life. They're just this peer pressure. They do whatever they feel everybody else is doing instead of what's right or what they should do or whatever. But their future is going to be so limited when you grow up like that, because you've been so brainwashed. It's devastating.
Well, and that's why they lose their shit when you say anything about it. That's why they lose their mind, because they cannot comprehend. Like, think how hard it would be to accept that you've been completely lied to.
Oh,
like for these detransitioners, right? Like, think how hard of a mental bridge that is to cross, to be like, dude, my teachers and my counselor and my parents, they all allowed me to do this, and now I'm like messed up forever.
That's trauma.
It's permanent.
Bro.
That's trauma.
Oh,
Yes.
that's trauma. No, we're going to see the suicide rates off the charts.
Yeah, it's not going to be 46%. It's going to be like 70%.
At least. No, and that's as we see that's why we have to stand against it, even though they say you're hateful for standing against it. We have to say,
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No,
we
we're
love
not.
those kids. We love, and we want to protect them from your deceptive, just brainwashing that they're going to have regrets. There's so many videos out there. Tucker interviewed
from the detransitions. Yeah,
and you hear the stories, and it breaks your heart. These girls,
it's hard to watch, man.
It's just anyway,
double mastectomies.
Yes,
yeah,
and it's just like, oh my goodness. But that is people that are wicked, that are manipulating and using our children as fodder in this war to collapse America. That's all that is. No one would think that's a logical thing to do. Have a little boy cut off his private parts, and it's going to be okay. I mean, so they've got the school system, 50, 60, 70 years ago to just keep moving it slowly further, more radical, less education, more indoctrination. So they're getting close to the stage they thought they would arrive at someday, where you finally raise up a generation that they have to have big government take care of them. They literally cannot do it. And then you got it. Then you got that socialist system, and then you can turn it, totalitarian whenever you want once you get to that stage.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah, guys, we appreciate your comments, though. Thank you guys for being real fans. We appreciate it. With that being said, let's keep this show moving. We got headline number 2. Headline number 2 reads, U.S. will require background checks for gun shows and online firearm sales. This is a big one coming out today. A lot of interesting things on this one. Let's start diving into this. The sale of firearms on the internet and at gun shows in the U.S. will in future be subject to mandatory background checks, the Justice Department said on Thursday, as it announced a, quote, historic new action to keep weapons out of the hands of criminals. The closing of the so-called gun show loophole, which exempts private transactions from registrations that apply to licensed dealers, has long been a goal of the Biden administration and is specifically targeted in the rule published in the Federal Register today. Quote, under this regulation, it will not matter if guns are sold on the internet, at a gun show, or at a brick and mortar store. If you sell guns predominantly to earn a profit, you must be licensed, and you must conduct background checks, the Attorney General Merrick Garland told reporters on a press call announcing the measure. Quote, this regulation is a historic step in the Justice Department's fight against gun violence. It will save lives, end quote. Now, the rule, which clarifies who is considered to be, quote, engaged in the business as a firearms dealer, will take effect in 30 days' time and follows a 3-month consultation period that attracted almost 388,000 comments to the website of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, or the ATF. The White House estimates that 22% of guns owned by Americans were acquired without a background check, and that about 23,000 more individuals will be required to be licensed as a dealer after the rule's implementation. So 22% of guns owned were acquired without these background checks. I wonder how many of those guns, or how many guns were used in crimes by those same people without those back. Oh, sorry. My bad.
What's wrong with you, man?
I'm sorry. Oh, I don't know how they got in there.
See, now you and your fake you on the internet are going to ask for a trophy for that. Fake DJ.
Hey, bro, listen. Hey, don't ask if you're offended. Ask if it's true.
That's a fact.
All right. But, quote, there is a large and growing black market of guns being sold by people in the business of dealing and doing it without a license, and therefore they are not running background checks the way the law requires, the ATF director, Stephen Diddlebach, said. Quote, it's not safe for innocent law-abiding Americans. In fact, it's doggone dangerous. Now, this push of trying to restrict, remove, limit, lower the rights of gun owners in this country, it's been something they've been doing for decades, right? Do you guys know David Hogg, right? The guy who survived
Park View shooting.
Yeah. So the Parkland survivor, right?
Yeah.
He has a history of being escorted out and doing all these protests and stuff, and he finally got some pushback, and I thought it was pretty awesome. It kind of ties in this conversation because at the end of the day, a country that is unarmed, they're going to fall subject to whatever the country decides, right? If you have no way of protecting yourself, you have no way of keeping tyranny in check. And so he decided, he did this little town hall meeting or whatever, and a very interesting voice came up and had some interesting questions and comments, and I have the clip here. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Lily Tan Williams. Welcome to my live free or die state. Actually, I am a Chinese immigrant who survived communism. And under Mao, 40 million people were starving to death after he sold communism to them. And 20 million people died, murdered during his Cultural Revolution. So my question to you, David, is that can you guarantee me, a gun owner tonight, our government in the U.S., in D.C., will never become a tyrannical government? Can you guarantee that to me?
There's no way I can ever guarantee that any government will not be tyrannical.
Well, then the debate on gun control is over, because I will never give up my guns. Never. And you should go to China to see how gun control works for dictatorship of CCP.
That's awesome.
So
Fucking great.
Yeah.
People that have been there and done that.
Yeah.
They
Talking
don't
to some
put up
little
with-
nerd.
Yeah, they don't fall for all the little buzzwords and clever sayings and things like that. They understand anyone that would ever try to disarm a law-abiding citizen for any reason is evil.
That's right.
Period. And the more crime goes up, you want more law-abiding citizens to be locked and loaded, and maybe start a mandatory, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you must carry in this country. Maybe have a little big government in that direction, but you don't disarm the people that would only use it to defend the defenseless or to protect their family, people they're responsible for, their wife, their children. But in the communist countries, if you study the 20th century, that was always one of the first steps, slowly pass some gun laws and restrictions. That's what Hitler did in Germany.
Yeah.
He had to get the guns because he knew his plans, but he goes, I can't tell people my plans until I disarm them, so there's nothing they can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's what always happens. So the left is always flapping about this. At the same time, they don't prosecute most gun crimes. They're not tough on crime that would help eliminate crime. They don't do those things that really do work. Instead, let's disarm everybody, and then crime's going to drop, which, again, the cities that have done
Which is
that,
not true.
Crime, like
Yes.
Chicago, places
Well,
where it is against the law, the crime is off.
If you compare Chicago and Houston are sister cities. Okay? The crime in Houston is disproportionately lower than the crime in Chicago because everybody in Texas is fucking carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody in Chicago is because you go to prison for it.
Right.
That's right.
Or there's so many loopholes you got to go through and, put your right arm in, right arm out, spin around, do the dance to even have a concealed license. And even after that, the restrictions are still
Dude,
ridiculous.
how is this guy relevant? I
Who,
believe
David
I think he's one of these Democrat influencers. They pay him to do this shit.
100%.
This kid's arguments are so terrible and so ridiculous, and he's so punchable. Like his face, dude, real talk. Like he speaks with like this authority, and it's like, bro, you're a fucking peon nerd that doesn't know shit. Like, what the are you talking about?
Nothing.
You barely have pubic hair on your nuts. You know what I'm saying? And you're out here lecturing people about shit because you happen to be, which is terrible, in a school shooting. That does not make you an expert on fucking anything. That makes you the victim of a traumatic experience, and I can respect that. I can say, man, that's terrible.
Yeah. At every school shooting, if the teachers would have been armed, they would have ended really quickly.
Yeah.
So again, the solution to those things, people are going to do bad things sometimes, especially when you raise the young people to believe there is no right and wrong. It doesn't matter. Your breathing is destroying the planet. We so depress them with all these lies, and they play video games all day, just killing people. So you don't think they're going to act out every now and then? I'm shocked it doesn't happen 10 times what it does. But the solution to that would be to have schools that are guarded and they're protected and there are armed people there. And the second you see the guy walking in, he's done.
Yeah.
We're not putting up with that. You will not kill a child under our custody. And so it's again, hot
It solves
air.
another problem too, Curtis. You have all these veterans who are trained who come back and they have these mental issues. And the source of these mental issues that most of them have is not, and people are going to get pissed when I say this, but it's not that like they had some sort of traumatic experience from having to kill people. That's not what it is. They come back and they don't have a purpose. They don't have something to do. They don't have something to protect. They don't have something to fight for. And if we would just work these people into a position of keeping these kids safe at every single school in the country, it wouldn't take that much money to employ these people. We would have safe schools, and we would solve a big problem with the mental health of the veterans by giving them an actual purpose to stand for. So,
yeah,
vote for me. Just saying.
No, listen, that's fucking great. You know, I think at the end of the day, people fail to realize it doesn't matter how many laws you make. It doesn't matter how many restrictions you try to put down. Criminals are going to be criminals.
That's the definition of a criminal.
That's what it is.
Somebody
they do
who
not
does not
abide by the laws.
Correct.
You know, and so it's like we keep trying, you know, and like that's the thing that it's always laughable to me because it's like I know what the more sinister motive is here, right? But it's like it doesn't matter what law you put down. They're not going to, like, a criminal is not going to find that. You could remove all the guns off.
That's right. They'll use
Murder's
a knife.
already illegal. And guess what? It still happens.
That's right. They'll use a knife. They'll use their Ford truck to drive over people, whatever. People
Like, you're gonna
that
make
have
Fords
that
illegal?
wickedness in their
Yeah, we're going to make Fords illegal. Let's
That's
make
right.
Ford
No,
trucks illegal.
That's the bottom line is their policies, if you follow them logically to their conclusion, every man is in a cage in a prison so they can protect you, and they have the key to it. And okay, now you're safe. There's no abuse. There's no crime. It's just more control. But you see from history, the policies don't work. They make things worse, but that's what they're all about.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's insane. Guys, jump in on this conversation down in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. With that being said, let's get to our third and final headline number 3. Headline number 3 reads, Shohei Ohtani was a victim of fraud and his interpreter will be charged amid fears he stole more than $4.5 million from the Dodgers star to cover illegal gambling debts, with the $700 million MLB man exonerated. This was an interesting thing, man. I don't think we covered this a bunch. I think we mentioned it maybe one time in our episode. Have you been following this? You seen anything about this?
I haven't much, no.
So Shohei Ohtani, it was at the largest salary, I think, in the MLB ever given, $700 million.
Yes.
But he can't really speak English. So he has this translator. And it comes out that there was like $4.5 million that was being used to gamble on illegal gambling bets. And everybody thought it was him. It was actually his interpreter. Shohei Ohtani is set to be officially cleared of any wrongdoing in the investigation carried out by federal authorities into the gambling scandal that rocked the $700 million Los Angeles Dodgers star. According to TMZ Sports, Ohtani is a victim of fraud, and his translator, Felipe Muzihara, is going to be charged any day. The New York Times, meanwhile, says Muzihara is in negotiations to plead guilty, a move that will likely see him face a more lenient sentence. But here's the problem that I have with this whole thing. Again, they acted on accusations and completely destroyed this man's career potentially. Right? Like, he was fired from the Dodgers. His contract's been ripped up. Like, does he get any of that back? Is there going to be any restitution to him? Right? He was fired by the Dodgers back in March amid the allegations he stole $4.5 million to cover debts. The investigation began soon after, around 3 weeks ago, and it now appears that the 29-year-old Japanese star is set to be fully exonerated. TMZ...
Well, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? I'm confused. So the interpreter did this.
The interpreter did this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ohtani didn't get fired from the Dodgers.
No, he got fired.
No, he did not. He fucking played against the Cardinals like 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ohtani is still on the team, dude.
Oh, okay.
The interpreter got
He
fired.
was hired by the Dodgers.
Hold on.
Got it.
Yes. So the interpreter was paid by the Dodgers for Ohtani.
Got it.
That's what happened. So...
Got it.
No, he's not getting his job back. And Ohtani's lucky he's not banned from baseball like Pete Rose got. Real talk. Okay, so you're telling me that Ohtani
knew nothing about this?
Knew nothing about $4.5 million missing from his account that his interpreter took? No, that's not. Listen.
This is an honor sacrifice. Is what this is.
Okay. Now you're getting it.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
So to say this potentially, and this is speculation, another way could be that Ohtani was gambling and had a gambling problem and betting on sports and baseball, which will get you kicked out of baseball and banned for life like Pete Rose. And Ohtani had to pay this gambling debt, and they paid it through this dude, his buddy, okay? That's like me and you. You're my interpreter, bro. Like, we spend all the time together. Like, and I say, hey, DJ, bro, like, I'm the one making the bread here. You got to fucking take this fall or we're fucked.
Yeah, I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, plead guilty?
That I'm just saying that could be what's going on.
It makes sense.
Listen, I like Ohtani. He's great for the league.
Yeah.
I am a fan of his. He's fucking amazing. I'm just saying there's other things that could be happening. They're probably not, but they could be. You know what I'm saying? That's my take.
Yeah. Curtis, you got anything on the? Are you a baseball guy?
That makes sense. I a little bit. I watch some when I'm able to, but that makes sense too. Or I could see it either way, where you're not going to let him take the fall no matter what. So you'll never really know, was it him or the other guy, but he shouldn't be fired and stuff unless there was proof for sure that it was him.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Now, what's the deal with the illegal betting though? Like, why is that such a?
Because, bro, if you bet on baseball games and you're playing in games, you can throw plays to create the outcome of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, that makes sense.
Or if you're betting on other games, right? Like let's say you're betting on, you're not betting on your own game, but you're betting on, Ohtani is betting on the Cardinals game, right? He calls up one of his buddies on the Cardinals and says, hey, I got a $2 million bet that you guys are going to lose this game. I'll give you a quarter of it if you fucking lose. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's
it can
how.
get gray real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, listen, he is young. That is a lot of money at your disposal. $750 million.
Dude, look, man, I hope he learned his lesson here and stays away from that shit. Gambling's one of the most, dude, I don't gamble. Like people are like, why don't you gamble? Why don't you gamble? And I was just talking to Emily about this the other day. I mean, I might bet $100, right? Like between me and you, or $5 or something just for fun.
You owe me like $2,000, but yeah.
What do I owe you for?
We had some type of bet.
Yeah, you owe me. Yeah. So
shit.
Yeah. So that's exactly right too, and it's $3,000. It's not $2,000. Yeah.
I got damn. I should have brought Joe to lead that.
Yeah. So like, dude, I'll do that. Like, right, if me and my dad are sitting down, we're watching UFC, I'll say, all right, $5 on this guy.
Gentleman bets.
You know?
Yeah, gentleman bets.
But like, dude, I've seen gambling completely wipe people out. And I'm talking about people with big money. In fact, I think it wipes people out with big money faster than it does with little money, because people with big money have lost the sense of what money is. They like, for them, and this is hard to like understand, but like, dude, when you have $700 million, you're gambling $2-3 million, not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't, and that $2-3 million with two more $3 million, you do that enough, you're in big trouble quick. You know?
Yeah.
So I hope he gets away from that. I don't, dude, I work too hard for my money to gamble it. It's not fun for me. You know, if I'm in Vegas, I might go, you know, I might take $500 and we go to the roulette table and play for 6 hours like we did when me and you went. Was that? Oh, no, that wasn't you. That was me and Chris.
Yeah, wrong black guy.
Yeah. Chris ain't black.
Chris got black.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Chris is fucking white. so, dude, but like we might, you know, I put $500 on the table, you know, in little increments and play for 4 hours. I look at that as like entertainment.
Yeah.
Like that's my entertainment for the next 6 hours.
Right.
So I'm paying the $500 for the 6 hours of fun. But like, dude, I work too hard to gamble my shit away, man. Like I've given too much. It's cost me, you know, maybe it's easier for everybody else, but it ain't been easy for me. And I value that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Money, when you work hard for something, when it's precious to you, you're like, I'm not just frittering it away, especially when you know it's all rigged anyway.
Yeah.
It's the house is going to win.
I mean, I can appreciate the game, right? I can appreciate it, but I just don't get carried away with it.
Yeah, and there's so many other fun games you can play when you're not losing. But you've worked so hard for it. It's like, go play a pickup game of basketball or something, but don't, you know,
it's just not, it's just a dangerous thing to get into, especially when you get into that high dollar stuff. It's just never been my thing, man.
Yeah.
I get asked to like play big poker games and stuff. I don't even know how to play poker. I'm like, dude, I'm not showing up playing poker with you fuckers. Take all my money. You know?
That's real shit, man. That's real shit. Guys, jump down in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. With that being said, let's get to our final segment of the show. As always, we have thumbs up or dumb as fuck. This is where we bring a video up or a headline, an article, and we vote on it. It gets one of those two options. So with that being said, our thumbs up or dumb as fuck headline reads, social media is horrified over video of waitress grabbing fries and putting them back on customer's plate after they spilled off as she served.
I'm going to have to see the video.
It's bad, dude.
Is it?
It's bad.
All right.
Now, I know you like potatoes.
I think potatoes are the best food ever made because they're so versatile. You can make anything with potatoes. Like, you know how you've seen Forrest Gump? You probably haven't seen it.
I've seen Forrest Gump.
Okay, you know how he talks about shrimp?
Yep, shrimp
for 7
stew,
hours?
shrimp gumbo, barbecue shrimp, shrimp pasta.
Yeah, I could talk about potatoes like that. I love potatoes. I fucking love them anyway. There's not a way you can make potatoes I won't like them. And I think they're the greatest food ever made. If I had to eat one food for the rest of my life forever, it'd be potatoes.
I lived in Idaho for many years. You know, it's a staple there, and they're.
You guys got good potatoes.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
And it's. I would like to see if
you
they
could
came
only-
off the floor or off the table, or.
If you could only eat one food forever, what would it be?
Boy, it's tough.
It has to be something versatile.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Potatoes is one of those staples. I think they said, I read an article once, you could live on just milk and potatoes. If you had just those two things, between both of them, you
Yeah.
have all the things necessary to survive. And anyway,
I know I wouldn't have much protein in my potato diet, and my physique would suffer, but I'd be happy.
You'd be looking like David Hogg, bro.
I'd be looking like a potato. Yeah. I'd be looking like a potato. But you know what? I'd be happy
Yeah.
because that stuff's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Let's dive into this.
What
a
would
little
your
bit.
one food be?
Steak?
Steak.
All steak, bro.
Really?
Oh, bro, easy.
You can only prepare steak a number of ways, though.
No, there's a few different ways you can do it.
I know, but not as much potato.
Yeah, that's fine.
If I had to pick one protein and one carb, I would pick a steak.
Yeah. So, no, bro, listen, I will eat steak breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bro.
Are you a regular food person or a sweets person?
Oof.
You're an all of it person.
I'm all of it.
Yeah. But
Oh,
that's
you're trying to be funny. But Dad, I will punch you in your face. Oh shit, I can't.
Are you a sweets person or a regular food person?
just regular food.
Me
yeah.
too, man. I don't care for sweets.
Yeah, listen, I got a sweet spot.
You do?
Yep.
It's like is it in your butthole?
Right here.
You got that butthole G spot?
Let's dive into this, man. So a waitress wasn't able to keep all of her slippery little fries on a plate for a guest, and social media was horrified over the server's next move. Kelly Murphy posted a video on TikTok of her experience at a restaurant after she ordered sweet potato fries. Quote, "Throwback to when I ordered sweet potato fries but was served slippery suckers instead," Murphy wrote in the clip. Here's the video.
Thank you. Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Slippery suckers.
No, you're
I'm
good.
sorry.
You're good.
Bro.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You guys need anything else? You want me to get you some
I'm
new
supposed
fries?
to have, yeah, I'm supposed to have sweet potato fries anyway.
Oh yeah, you got the wrong one.
Thank you.
Isn't it?
Oh. Oh, bro, listen, somebody is dying. You fucking do that to my fries. It's a problem. I gotta watch that one more time. Hold on. It's a problem.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Slippery suckers.
Slippery suckers.
You're good.
Sorry about that.
She must be a new waitress or something.
You want me to get you some new
I'm
fries?
supposed to have, yeah,
shutting it down.
supposed to have sweet potato
Yeah, of
fries
course.
anyway.
Can't eat those.
You got the wrong one.
Thank you.
Would you
shutting
eat
it down.
those?
No, you cannot touch people's food, especially in front of them. And as a server in the kitchen, your food gets touched. Is
Yeah.
the reality of it.
Yeah, that's
I've
fine.
been in
I
restaurants.
don't want to see it.
But it's you've washed your hands or you even have gloves on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's someone that's just out of touch.
Yeah,
Oh.
it seems like that's a rookie mistake. I think
Yeah,
that's a
they
rookie
just-
move.
They don't know what
Ooh,
to do, and so they just
slippery.
do the
Yeah,
only thing
I
they
think
can.
I think she's probably new and
Learning.
yeah, that's right.
It
That's
rem-
what it seemed like to me.
It reminded me of that scene from Scary Movie. You
Oh, where he makes a Kool-Aid?
No, the mashed potato scene.
Yeah, but see, the original version of that, you wouldn't know. You would know. Have you seen National Lampoon's Vacation? with Chevy Chase,
maybe years ago,
where they go to the cousin Eddie's house and they make the Kool-Aid and he sticks his hand in and the daughter sticks her hand in and mix the Kool-Aid. Yeah, it's gross.
No, don't do it to my Kool-Aid either.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not good, but I don't know. She seemed like it was I don't know. She seemed like a rookie.
Yeah. Oh, so you're giving her grace?
I am. Yeah, I think people make mistakes, bro. She seemed like she's learning on the job. Listen, man, you got to have grace for people. Isn't that right, Curtis?
Yeah, she wasn't being rude or anything.
Yeah.
Or she just didn't know what to do and just.
A sin is a sin. Don't touch my fucking fries, man. Hey, I'll touch them off the fucking table. I got it.
Would you eat them off the table?
Hell yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with that. I mean, again, dude, listen.
I eat them off the floor if I get them myself. I don't give a shit. But don't touch them. I don't, bro. I don't care. Joe, would you eat the... Bro, Joe, don't lie.
Did you hear what he said?
What'd he say? Her weapon of choice looks like a pool needle? Pool noodle? Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. But if that were the case, she wouldn't have a job.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
She would be out doing Antifa stuff.
Biden's economy, she had to start working.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. I think times are hard, and she's probably a new waitress, and it's probably... I'm trying to,
she's
be real.
She's LARPing.
See this? These guys are mean. I have to deal with this every day, bro.
It's tough.
Yeah. I got to be the voice of reason.
Oh, man.
Hey, that's not... come on now. You guys ain't right. All right. I'm giving it thumbs down, but I'm giving it a soft thumbs
But you're
down.
giving some grace.
Yeah.
All right. What we got, Curtis?
Yeah, I guess thumbs down too. I mean, it was too far, but she didn't do it in a rude way or whatever. You know, so rude server's like the worst, whatever they're doing, where I would have no tolerance for it.
Yeah.
But someone trying to, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was definitely gross, but she's new. I can tell.
No grace. Straight to the gulag.
Straight to the gulag. Really? Wood chipper?
No, just the gulag.
Okay.
Yeah, just the gulag.
All right.
Yeah. Well, guys.
Well, hold on. I got one more question for Curtis before we go.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. So, in your opinion, with all these things going on, what can people do as an individual? What do you think the best course of action is for people to people that are waking up to what is really going on? Because when we talk to people about it, they're like, "Well, what should we do?" What do you think?
Well, I think they need to continue to educate themselves so you're not sucked into something that sounds good but it's not good, and then work to educate those around you, family, friends, neighbors, slowly just expanding the people that are awake. The bigger that pool gets, the better we all are off. When we have more and more people that the next time they try to do the lockdowns or whatever say, no, thank you. We're not interested in the mask.
Yeah.
We're not interested in the 6-foot social distancing or whatever it might be. And then, I mean, as families, to try really work at sincerely, keeping the hearts and minds of your children and your grandchildren. Make sure they're not getting brainwashed by this culture that is just spewing lies out of everything, all the institutions of whether it's the media, the Hollywood films, the educational system. It's just most of what you're being told is not the way the world really works. And so I would just say, just start building that group of like-minded people around you that do understand what's going on and do understand how serious it is, and that things have always been fine in America, but they're not going to be if we continue on the road we're going down, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you this, I have studied this for decades, so I'm not just throwing this out there, but we are going to get to the destination we're headed to if we don't turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a Marxist communist future, period. And it is a nightmare. I've interviewed hundreds of people that grew up in communist countries ever since I made the films. And the stories they have told me about what it was like to actually live in those is so sobering. I mean, it's just like I sit there and go, I don't even understand this. And they say, yes, Curtis, you don't. Even though you've studied this, you don't know what it's really like when you are in fear for your life every single second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just nervous. You're going to say something you're not supposed to say, do something. It's like the book 1984 by George Orwell. You're just in this big brother, is watching you. But today we do have this technology that is watching us. We all carry a microphone and a video camera around with us, and those things are being gathered so they'll know whenever the net is tightened around us enough, okay, we do have control of bank accounts now because we have a digital currency or whatever. Okay, I don't like what that person said. Oh, that comment here. So instead of just being censored like we are now or canceled, which is just a precursor to what's coming, it'll be, no, you're deleted. You don't own that home anymore. They're even working. I mean, it's so deep as you dig into it, but they're working right now at the World Bank of getting a ledger that has every asset in the world on it. Everything, every car you own, every bicycle, every piece of property, where it's digitized. So the titles are digitized for every asset in the world. Where so they push a button and all of a sudden someone else's name is on your title. It's like, sorry, that's not yours. You need to move. This is private property. And so that's you can see they're setting it up for like, oh my goodness, yeah, it's just you eliminate all opposition. And we see in the Soviet Union, we see in Red China today. Yes, they eliminate all opposition by executing you. They're creating the circumstances where they won't need to do that. They might still do it anyway because they enjoy that, but they can just delete you. You'll starve to death because you don't have a place to be. You have no job. Your bank account's at zero. Everything's been deleted.
That sounds. People hear that and they say, "Bro, that sounds crazy."
It totally does.
But when something I didn't hit on when I was kind of connecting the dots for people is the reason they're because listen, our currency is going to hyperinflate. People don't understand that, and if you don't know what hyperinflation is, go back and look at what happened in 1930s Germany. And what they're going to replace it with is a digitized currencies, and that's for what you're talking about. And that was something I left out earlier, but part of the hyperinflation that they're trying to create is about not only making things unaffordable and pushing people into poverty, but also being able to replace the currency with a trackable digital currency that is basically permission to buy things.
That's right. And they decide what you can buy. And they're already talking about that. Again, I'm not talking about, I think they might do this. I'm talking about what I've read. They said, here is what we're going to do. Where then, if you've already had too many hamburgers this week, DJ, your money will not be good for that.
Well, wait.
Because your carbon footprint is too much. I mean, this is an exact example.
This is a problem for you, bro.
Out of their thing where they will dictate what you eat, what you're able to buy. And that you have to spend your money. All currency will have an expiration. So you can't save up to have that wealth to be able to do things to make a difference. And that's, again, they're talking about this. So anyone not understanding this or if you haven't heard this before, it sounds crazy, but this isn't some figment of our imagination. It's what the elites of the world, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations, it's what they're talking about right now as you read what they're doing. But so that's the parameter. So at the right moment, they will collapse the currency because they know we kind of don't want this digital currency. But if they collapse our currency where it's really not worth anything like it in Germany.
What are we going to do?
Yeah, then all of a sudden they say, hey, if you sign up and get a digital ID for this currency, we'll give you $1,000 a month for free just to be part of this. And everyone, especially when you're in dire straits, you're like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And so it'll suck the people in just for self-preservation where I need to feed my family. So, okay, I'll sign up. And then you're in the system. And once you get in the system, then you start to realize I better keep my mouth shut if I don't agree with what's going on, because I'm going to slap the hand that's feeding me. That's what they ultimately want, where you're just dependent on them. And then, like in the Soviet Union, they kept everyone in poverty, where you literally had to go wait in line for 6 or 7 hours every day to get your loaf of bread for your family. And when you're in that situation, you're not going to rebel because you're like, I don't have enough energy to rebel, one, because I barely have enough to survive.
You're starving.
But I know if I rebel, my family's not getting that loaf of bread. My kids are going to starve to death. Mm-hmm. And I don't want them to. So it's just this forced submission and forced obedience. And that's what they're trying to set up right now. Is it all there yet? No, it's not. So we need to use the freedoms we have right now to continue to build systems that are parallel systems that are apart from the way they're doing things. I encourage people to get to know where your food's coming from and get it local if you can. So if they crash the markets and things, or they clog up the system with another pandemic or whatever, No, I know where I get the farmers markets or the local farms, or I grow some in my own yard and things like that. We need the necessities of life, and then we need to educate others. But especially my heart as a father, we got to keep the kids on our team by telling them these things and teaching them the truth so they're not deceived. And so we will start building up our side, and then they know if enough of us wake up, they're in trouble, because they don't have the force to actually make us all do what they want. That's why they make an example. When anybody is stand, we got to destroy them. So everyone's in fear so they won't rise up, because they know if enough people rise up, and this is just an interesting point real quick that is encouraging to people. If our government was to take all the police in America, entire military, National Guard, everything, I think it's 4 or 5 million people total. If they were to take them and try to lock down America, that's only enough to lock down 6 cities. So that's the force if they were even able to do that. And I don't think they could talk about the policemen and all the
That's
military
considering
people.
Zero resistance from the from
Exactly.
society.
And so I'm saying it's really an illusion, but they want that illusion to be real. And the more they can digitize things, then it becomes real, because then they can literally strip things away from you where you, like you were saying, where you'll own nothing and be very happy. I mean, people hear that and they laugh. That's the World Economic Forum goal. But I heard it and instantly thought, wait a minute. The first plank of the Communist Manifesto is the abolition of private property.
That's right.
That's all this is Marxism, communism, repackaged for today. So people will willingly accept it because, we're saving the planet or whatever it is. And they will force themselves and they will allow themselves to be moved into the cities so they can be watched. And they'll get a bike so they can just ride to work and back, and they can get rid of their cars, and they can. And so that's what I think they realize with the progress they made in the educational system over the last 50, 60 years. They realize, you know what? These people will do what we say. If we just make it urgent enough, create enough fear in them, and I think the pandemic was a perfect example. They saw, wow,
it was a test.
These idiots are wearing masks when all medical journals say masks do nothing for stopping the spread of a virus. In the 6 foot thing, which they've even admitted they made up now. I knew they made it up. Because
everybody knew, except
a virus. If you sneeze in a room, everyone in the whole room could get that virus. There's no leash on a virus 6 feet. It can't.
No, yeah. Did you know, dude?
Stop it.
You could walk in restaurants and if your head's too high when you're walking in, you can catch it. But when you sit down at the table, you're below where it actually goes.
And the plexiglass.
Yeah.
You can't go.
So it sounds like what you're saying, Curtis, is awareness, the spreading of awareness, noncompliance, and personal excellence around yourself and the individual and your family.
That's right.
That's what it sounds like.
That's right. And where you realize, as I've realized, the more people I've interviewed from communist countries, it would better to be dead than to live under communism. Mm-hmm. So you're willing to go, no, I'm willing to stand, even if it costs me my life, because it's the right thing to do.
I think it's important to point out that the sooner that people stand, the easier the fight will be.
Exactly.
Right.
And the more we stand, when we feel like I might be the only one standing, it's so vital, because most of the time that one person standing is all it took for other people to go, oh, I was thinking about that too, but I just didn't want to be the first one.
Yeah.
So it's so important to be the first one. You be the first one. I'm sorry, I'm not going to put that mask on because it's a lie. You know you're being lied to, and try to educate the people that are saying these things. But yeah, we need to do that, because otherwise, if we don't stand up as they slowly keep encroaching, like I said before, if you're on a road that ends where it's ending in communism, that's where it's going to be. Mm-hmm. If you don't get off the road, that's where you're going to arrive at your destination. And it's sobering, but so many people, we've had such a nice life in America, are still kind of, really? You think it's possible? And it just is. You study
It's not
world
possible.
history.
It's happening.
It's happening right before our eyes.
Yeah. And I think also it's important to note on this one last point, a lot of people think, to your point of going first, that their voice is irrelevant. And people have to understand, you have been propagated and brainwashed to believe that. All right? If your voice is irrelevant, then why do they censor? If your voice is irrelevant, why do they propagate? If your voice is irrelevant, why do they have political correctness and cancel culture? If your voice is irrelevant, why do they spend billions, even trillions of dollars to create systems for you to silence yourself? Why do they shame you? Why do they do these things? If your voice was irrelevant, They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't spend that money. They wouldn't spend that effort. They wouldn't work so hard to try to silence you. So you have to break out of the idea that your voice doesn't matter. Your individual voice matters way more than you think. And they understand that. It's just you that doesn't understand that.
That's right. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he was a famous writer from the Soviet Union that spent almost all of his life in the gulag there because of the things he wrote against the government. He, in his last essay before he left the Soviet Union, he titled it, "Live Not by Lies." He said, we have to refuse what has allowed them to get this control over us as we have submitted to the lies. We've been silent when someone said something that was a lie, and it made everybody else think we condone that lie. And he said, we no longer can do that. He goes, you have to refuse to ever be silent in the face of a lie. You must confront it, and you must say, no, that is not true. I'm sorry, but you're wrong on that. And as they started to do that more and more in the 80s, there started to be many protests in the Soviet Union after his essay circulated around, because people realized that's right. We've got to, even here where there's a high price, we're going to do it anyway. And so that's the key. Just live a life that's the truth. Mm-hmm. Live the things you say you believe. Live those. Don't just talk. Don't just always want to do something or go do it, and just be committed, like you said, to excellence in every area of your life. As a father, as a husband, as a friend, if you go to church, at your neighborhood, wherever you are. Just be the person they go, that guy's all here, and he's all in, and he does things the right way every time. And that's who he is. And the more we do that, the more our light shines into the darkness, expelling their lies. And I think there's great hope if we can just continue to do this individually and then pull others alongside of us, because it is lies, just like all the little clips we just listened to, just people just foaming at the mouth about nothing. It's just lies and nonsense and little buzzwords and things. That's all they have to offer. And we need to say, no, we have a lot to offer here. We have a different way of doing things. Why don't you join us in what we're doing? And I'm hoping and praying that God will bless our efforts to do that. But that's
He will.
The course.
Here's the silver lining to all of this. When we get through this, we will have the freest country that ever existed in the history of the world. That is a fact, because by people waking up and recognizing what's happening, we're in a situation where people are going to start to recognize all the other forms of tyranny and oppression that we've been lied to about, that we've been conditioned to believe little by little by little, and we will continue to attack and remove these systems of oppression that keep our capitalist free country in a place where it's not really free. There's no reason for you and I and everybody listening to have to work until the month of August until we start taking home our own money. There is no reason for these politicians that are in Washington, D.C. to come into office worth zero and leave worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There is no reason for our tax dollars to be sent overseas when we have the infrastructure that we have, and we have the homeless that we have, and we have the societal plight that we have. We have to serve American interests first. And by people becoming aware of what's actually going on, we're creating a scenario where people are going to recognize all the other things that are wrong after we win this major battle that's happening right now. So I'm very optimistic, as long as people do wake up and they do speak up and they do realize the power of their voice and they do take the message of personal responsibility and personal excellence and leading as an individual, being first to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing this because this is wrong and this is bullshit and I don't believe it. And you will inspire other people to do the same. That is all of our mission. That is our individual mission right now, to resist what's happening and preserve the future of America, which I believe is brighter than ever as long as we can get through this part.
Absolutely. That's
I
right.
appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah.
It's really good to see you, man.
No, it's great to be here. I appreciate you. And those that, if you enjoyed this at all, what we talked about, the movies I made are a great tool.
They're amazing.
Tool for that. And I just encourage you to go. You can watch them on Amazon if you'd like, or we have a website, agendadocumentary.com, where You can get a physical copy if you'd like that. But once you watch it several times and get the info down, it's a great tool. We've had hundreds of thousands of people have showings in their home where they invite their family and friends over, make popcorn, and it's a simple way to educate others where you don't have to give them 50 books to read or whatever. You just say, hey, come over, we'll watch a movie, and they'll start to see the purposefulness behind America's decline and hopefully then join us in this battle to preserve what's left.
That's Agenda and Agenda 2, guys. It should be required watching if you want to have an educated opinion of what's going on. So,
Thank you.
Curtis, thank you so much, man. It's really good to see you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, guys, Andy Curtis, that's all I got.
All right, guys, don't be a hoe.
Share the show.